doing it. We are starting. So hi guys, it's Victoria. You may not know me, but if you do, you might remember me from social media as the handle The Daily Victoria. I wanted to introduce you to my podcast, You All Right. I don't think I'll ever be able to say that without a British accent. It just rolls off the tongue. If you don't know the phrase, people in Britain say, You all right? And I remember the first time I got asked this. As an American who was living in London, and it was very abrasive. And, when an English person asks if you all right, it has the intention, it has the meaning of asking, how are you? Whereas if an American asks, you all right, it means you don't look great. Is everything okay? So it's definitely an adjustment to get used to, and actually, I don't think I'll ever get used to it. Though I wanted to call, my podcast You All Right, because sometimes you gotta ask yourself if you all right, as like a mental health check-in. And things that I kind of want to discuss in this little safe space. So obviously mental health and anxiety. I suffer from both. Well, I suffer from depression and anxiety, mainly anxiety. Being a woman in your late 20s, early 30s, and dealing with the societal pressures that society puts upon us, whether that's being in a relationship, getting married, having kids, etc. And also kind of the perspective of what men are like at this age and what your attitude should be towards that. And honestly, I'd just like to discuss anything women related. Also, other fun things that I'm passionate about is like pop culture. So I love The Bachelor and The Real Housewives of New York. Oh my God, all Real Housewives though. TikTok drama, I know. Yes, I am obsessed. And then other things such as like health and wellness and beauty. So there's a lot that I want to discuss, and I don't think I should limit myself to just a few, but I want you to join along, clearly. So every week I'll be addressing, different topics, and you can always chime in on, what you want me to talk about by commenting on my Instagram podcast handle at You All Right Podcast. And you know what? I just thought it'd be good to kind of set the tone and kind of let you in a little bit more about, this idea for my podcast, what you should expect, and kind of what I want to do with it. Because it was definitely a spur of the moment decision, but I love it. And if you know me, I'm a just do it kind of gal, so I wanted to hit the ground running. I wanted to address my top 5 dream guests if I could have on this podcast. So let's start with countdown number 1. Okay, so the obvious, if you know me, it's not obvious if you don't. My top guest would be Prince Harry. I know. Like, I love British ginger-haired men who also can talk about mental health. Plus, I'm royally obsessed. So he's at my top. I could talk all day about him and his family, but we will save that for another podcast. Number 2 are the Olsen twins. I love these girls. I am an OG forever stan. I interned for them about 10 years ago at this time. I have so many experiences, and just honestly, I still hold them in such high regard after that experience. Number 3 would be Kelly Cutrone. I also interned for her in New York City. She is a wild one, and honestly, I just want to pick her brain. Maybe I have some things to say to her about my internship experience, but I also want to know what goes behind that lady. I think it should be a fun time, like, if you went out with her. I think she would be a lot of fun. The 4th one on my list for a dream podcast guest would be Sonja Morgan from The Real Housewives of New York City. Now, Sonja Morgan is like the underdog of everyone, and honestly, I see such potential in her, and I love the way that she thinks. She talks about being a creative person but attracted to non-creative people. I'm the same way. And I know, just like Kelly, she'd be a fun time to go out with. So I'd like to add Sonja Morgan to my list, but honestly, anyone from The Real Housewives of New York, I'm a fan. I love. And you know what? I'm going to say the last one. I know it's going to be an unpopular opinion, and I don't even know how I feel about it, because I think like a couple months ago I hated him, and then I got addicted to the BFF podcast, and that's Dave Portnoy. The only reason why I'd really love him on as a guest is because I think we'd have a good banter. I think that we can shoot the shit. The advice that he gives to his young workers, I feel the same way. The majority of it, not all of it. But I also just think that him and I have the kind of same I don't give a fuck mindset. And it would be really cool to kind of talk to someone who I feel like would mirror my banter. Anyways, that's just kind of just set the vibe of what you can expect and what I personally strive to achieve. Big goals, I know, but we're manifesting here. I'll be releasing a new podcast on every Tuesday, so make sure to subscribe so you can take a listen. And don't forget to ask yourself, you all right? And please do not tear me apart for my British accent. I know it's horrible, but Anyways, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.